A couple of days in our Facebook community group, Steve Weldon's asked me if I could show how I create my action. It saves an image into different folders at different sizes. So I'm just going to show you how I go about that. Now the very first thing you need, you have to have the folder in a place it'll always be. So I pretty much have a folder on my desktop. My folder's called Web Folders. I'm just going to create a new one just for this, and I'm just going to call it Test. And this will be my test folder, which I'm going to have all the files sent to. Inside of there, I'm going to create some folders. So I might just call one JPEG Hi. Oops. That'll do. I'll put another one in there just called Internet. I might put one in there called My Web, and I might put one more, and this could be My Blog. In mine I have a few others because I send a fair bit of stuff to other fashion blogs, so at times I've had up to 7 or 8 folders within this. So each of these images I need to be a different size and a different quality, so that's why I need these different folders. And this will sit on my desktop, or if I only work off one computer with one drive, this will sit on that drive. As soon as you unplug that drive, the action won't work anymore because it'll be looking for this folder. So now that I've got this folder, I'll flip into Photoshop. I've just got 3 images up because I'm going to show 3 different versions of this. The first, I'm just going to quickly flatten this one down and make it 8-bit to start with. So the first picture I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to record the action. So I just need to go into my actions area, and I can just come in with a new action and make sure you're under the subfolder of where you want it under. So I've got my company above that. I'm just going to make sure I click on that so it goes into that folder, and I'll put in here for a new action. I'm just going to call it test 1, and then hit record. So pretty much now it will record everything I do. So the very first thing I want to do is save this image out. Now before I do this, maybe I want to have a crop on this picture because I don't like the crop, because my TIFFs I never crop or sharpen. So if that's the case, I'm actually going to tell this to stop because I don't want to record this, because this will happen before I run my action. So I'll just hit my crop. At the moment it's in my Sony ratio. Let's put it into a Hasselblad ratio, which is a 4:3, and maybe I decide this is going to be the crop for this image, and I might just pull it up a touch just to get rid of that hand, and I commit to that crop. Now I'm going to put record back on. So I'm going to start recording from now on. So the very first thing I want to do is save this just as a high-res image out. I might want to down or change my size, but this is more to send out a high-res to one of my clients. I'm already in sRGB, and I'll just save this out as a JPEG. So all I'm going to do is save as, and I'm going to go to the folder which is on my desktop, which is called test, and this will go into JPEG high. I'll make sure that this is a JPEG, and I'll go save. Quality full. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to have one for the internet. So I tend to work on 1000 pixels high. I already have an action for doing that, so I can just play an action I already have. So I have an action which is there, 1080p by, and I just hit my F11 button, and that will play that action. And now it's recording me playing that action. You'll see the picture's been resized. So I'll just bring it up to size. Now I'll play, or I might actually just do this one. So what I'm going to do is copy this layer. I'm just going to go up into filter other, high pass, and I know at 0.4 on 1080 was a nice sharpening to fix up what the internet takes away from it. Hit OK, change my blending mode to overlay. There's my sharpening on and off. It's very subtle, but just fix a little bit that we lose when we put it up on the internet. Next thing, I'm just going to merge those two layers together. Then I'm going to go save as again. I am going to find my test folder, and this will go into internet. JPEG, save, bang, okay. Now the next folder is for my web, and I've got to be careful with the size of my images. I don't want my own web page to slow down. So the thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go save as again. I'm going to jump onto test folder and go to my web. Then I'm going to go save, and see it's 538K, that's way too big. Now I'm going to try 10 quality, that's better. I like to be under 300K, keeps my site running fast. Now I'm just going to save this off at that size. So, okay, that's going to save a lower quality image into that folder. Now finally, say my blog needs to be slightly bigger. So what I'll do, I'll go back into my history. I'll go back to the crop. Zoom back out. So there's the crop image. Now I'm going to resize my image based on the size I want for my blog. So maybe I want my blog to be, we'll go in pixels. I want to have the maximum height in my blog, say 1500 pixels. And it's going to be 72, or I should have done 72 DPI first, it doesn't matter. 72 at 1500 high. Okay, now I'm just going to zoom back in. Now I need to do a resharpen for this size, that's at 100%. So if I just jump back onto my layers, copy that layer, okay. Go into filter, other, high pass. I'm just looking at my detail. I think I'll need a little bit more than 0.4, so I might just try 0.6. That's looking better. It just brought out the lips a touch. And this way I can always bring the opacity down if it's too much. Hit OK. Then just swap this to overlay. Turn it on and off to make sure I'm happy. Yeah, that's just popped that up really slightly. It's ever so slight, but it's just brought up that edge. Flatten it down. Save as. Find my blog. Test blog. And save it into there and save it at full size. Cool. So that picture's now all done. So now if I move on and if I go to that folder, you'll see that there's one picture in each folder. Now the thing you've got to have to really remember, it's so easy to keep working and forget to turn off record. So now that I've turned off my record, you'll see my test and there's all the instructions underneath it. So I can flatten that back down so it just says test. And I could assign even a button, a short key, which I do with my own one. My short key for my save to all places is F9, but you just set that up to wherever you want. So now if I go to my next picture, which is this, but I need to do one little thing first. One of the steps in my saving was to go in and change the amount of the size that is on that picture. And I'm pretty sure it was this one. JPEG quality 10. So if on this one here I put that little screen, my action will stop on at that point to allow me to change the quality to where I would like it. So just to say again, I know just because I've done this, that this is where I changed my quality to 10. So clicking on this little box here will mean the action will stop and wait for me to do something before the action keeps playing. So now if I come back up to it, this is the full size picture. I'm not going to crop it, I'm just going to leave it as is. The only thing I am going to do is, because this is a full layered TIFF, I'm just going to flatten it down to make it 8-bit with another action. And these other actions you'll find on Inspire. So now this is down as an 8-bit sRGB for the web. I can now go into my actions, and now I can hit my my test, and then I can just hit play. If I've done everything right, bang. See how it's come up on my web? So this is for my website. Once I hit save, it's going to bring up this dialog box. And I might think that 296 is a little bit too big, so I can change this back to 9. That's better. Hit OK. It will only affect this save. It won't affect any of the other saves. Every time I do this, it'll come up as a default at 10, and then I can move it around. By the way, I never go below 9 quality. I hit OK. The rest of the action will play. And if I bring up that folder again now, you'll see each of these folders has 2 pictures in it. So it's gone through and played that action perfectly. So one more time, if I just go back to one other picture you haven't seen, I'll just quickly flatten this down. And so I go into my actions, I go down to my test, I hit play. It will play all those actions. It will stop for the My Web one. It's going to ask me once I hit save what size I want it. 189 sounds fine on 10. I think if I went 11, it's going to go, yeah, it's a fraction big. 10's fine for me. Run it at 10. Okay, it'll run through, it'll play all the rest of the actions, and I go back in that folder. Now you'll see I have 3 images in each folder. And that's pretty much it. We have heaps of these type of tutorials on Inspire, so please check it out.